We live in a binary world. Boy versus girl, man versus woman, male versus female. But what about those parents who reject these black and white notions? In these cases, they would rather allow their child to choose which gender expression most clearly identifies them, rather than confining them to their biological sex. Our research has centered around how these children ultimately decide to define their gender. We asked, do these children more frequently identify with their biological sex, or is there true neutrality with regard to how these children express their gender? And if these children are more likely to define their gender so that it aligns with their biological sex, what factors contribute to this outcome? Take baby Storm, for example. Storm has made international headlines because yes there, parents decided not to share their child's biological sex. The pronoun there is used for those who do not identify with the gender binary of male or female, he or she. Storm's story is of special interest to gender researchers because it presents a unique look into a genderless childhood. How a person would come to realize their own identity without it being constrained to their biological sex can then be investigated. Storm demonstrates the viability of this option and can then encourage parents that raising children in genderless environments is possible. In 2011, Storm's parents, David Stoker and Kathy Witterick, decided not to share the sex of their newborn child. They made it their mission to raise Storm without gender pressures from inside the home, instead letting Storm choose their own gender expression by experiencing the world around them. When the story broke out in the Toronto Star in the same year, there was much controversy. According to the Huffington Post, the original article alone had over 35,000 comments within days, and follow-up opinion pieces and TV segments were everywhere. Many people, according to Joshua Ostroff of the Huffington Post in Canada, felt as if they were imposing their political ideology or expressed concerns for future bullying. According to an article published in 2016, Storm has now chosen to use the pronoun she, a decision that Stoker has assured was of all Storm's accord. Storm's biological sex, however, is still private. But still, Storm has experienced the binaries of the outside world. The media, entertainment networks, other community members, and even the English language all contribute to tiny pushes for one to align themselves with one gender binary or the other. However, one preschool in Sweden is trying to mitigate these impacts of binary gender stereotypes. On the surface, life at the Egelia preschool is not unlike any other early childhood experience. Kids play with toys, have daily story time, and play dress-up too. But if one takes a closer look, Egelia's teachers can be seen taking drastic steps to create a gender-neutral classroom environment, postponing exposure to girls' colors or boys' clothing. Instead of reading age-old fairy tales like Sleeping Beauty and Cinderella, which enforce traditional gender stereotypes, the children read stories that avoid these presentations of gender and parenting roles. In lieu of classical children's stories, kids might be found reading a book about two giraffes who find and adopt an abandoned baby crocodile. A lot of the traditional nursery school toys and games, like dolls, tractors, and a myriad of dress-up clothes and accessories, can still be found at Egelia. But of separating the toys by preconceived gender stereotypes, like the dolls being placed with princess clothes on one side of the room and tractors and Hot Wheels being left at another, all the toys are placed side by side so that the children can choose to play with whatever piques their interest. When asked why she took such care to eliminate gendered items and activities from the preschool, Egelia preschool director Lotta Rajan said, "We want the children to get to know all the things in life, not to just see half of it." In addition to all of these changes in classroom materials, teachers have to make changes to the language. Teachers and students do not refer to one another by gendered pronouns, but instead use first names, the word friend, or the word hen, a genderless pronoun similar to one, which is borrowed from the Finnish language. While many have been quick to characterize the Igalia methods, it has proven to be quite popular in Sweden. The preschool remains state-funded by taxpayer dollars and has an extensive wait list. Even some supporters of freedom of gender identity and gender equality might see the changes that Igalia is making as excessive, but by delaying exposure to traditional gender roles and stereotypes, children are provided with more independence of identity, something that should never be taken away.